Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Hello. Still getting bit. Put on bug spray. Still getting bit. What fun. I'm gonna shift that camera a little bit. Not quite happy with the positioning here. Hello. Eh. Kind of works. I don't know if that's really any better. Hello. How's everyone doing? Because I'm going to do some left-handed stuff. I'm not quite there with the left hand. I keep missing that shot. Do I think media like shows and such should have more realistic swordplay? Or do I think it works for the entertainment and flashiness value? I think it depends on the tone of your show. You know, realistic combat wouldn't have much place in something with the energy of like Dragon Ball Z, right? Like you wouldn't have realistic sword fighting in Dragon Ball Z. That would be silly. It'd be weird. But if you are proposing to be setting your story in some sort of realistic setting, then the combat should reflect. That's my thing, right? Like Monster Hunter doesn't have realistic combat. It shouldn't have realistic combat. It's Monster Hunter. Like it's over the top is its whole thing. It shouldn't have realistic combat. I wouldn't judge Monster Hunter for having ridiculous combat, but I would judge Assassin's Creed for having completely ridiculous combat. Like, unless they want to do a big tonal shift, it's my strong opinion that Assassin's Creed should stay within human ability. I'm okay with them having being like super good, right? Like all those multi-kill whatever thing, like they should be. I'm fine with them being like the peak of skill, but they should still be doing stuff that's more or less physically possible. A mocap guy should be able to do whatever it is they're doing, basically, right? Sometimes you just got to cut a whole lot. How many tournaments? How many tournament wins? I've gotten As far as medals go, I've gotten 2 silvers and a bronze. And then I have finished in the quarterfinals. I think at least 5 times. I think at least I'm pretty sure I've had at least 5 quarterfinal finishes. And then 3 medals. What's my opinion on fine counterweight? I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. How often should you oil your sword? If you're keeping it inside, not often. Generally, I oil a sword every time I touch it. So if I pick up the sword and I do something with it, I oil it. That's how I make sure it stays oiled. But if it's just sitting around, like if you oiled it and it's just sitting in your house, you're probably fine to leave it for a while. I would check up on it now and then. I handle my swords a fair bit, so none of them go very long without an oiling. I think I've heard like 2 months. Check on it every like 2 months. But if it does get a little bit of rust, anyway, as long as you catch it before it gets severe, there's not really much to worry about there. I don't have the spear out. I don't have much light left, so I just wanted to just burn off some energy. Favorite piece of Dapper Summer clothing? Definitely my Panama hat. I love my Panama hat. After that, my Seersucker suit. One-handed Mordhau with arming swords and stuff. Could that work? Yeah, totally. I mean, sure. This is a bit skinny for it. But yeah, you could absolutely wham, right? You need enough blade to be able to actually hold it. That part is important. If it's too small, it's going to turn in your hand and then it's going to slice you. You need enough meat in the blade that you can actually clamp it and have a good grip on it. This is way too skinny to really Mordhau. But like a nice thick cutting blade on an arming sword, yeah, sure. You could do that. Where do I get my swords from? A lot of my training swords come from, well, honestly, they come from a lot of places. It's more like what forges I like. I've had good experiences with Sigi and Regenier. I like Sigi and Regenier, and I would also include Malleus in that, but Malleus I can't recommend Malleus as a first-time purchase because it's really pricey. Malleus is like top-of-the-line stuff. And they make really good products, but they're not something I would suggest a beginner buy. I've been interested in sword making. I've never really pursued it. Let's see. I have used both 350 and 800 Newton jackets. I haven't really noticed the difference. As far as the 350 and the 800, I've never had a sword tip break where I've had to deal with it as far as the puncture rating goes. And I haven't really noticed the difference in breathability. And as far as mobility goes between 350 and 800, that's going to depend more on the model of the jacket, more so than the textile. What's the generally heaviest type of sword? I guess it'd probably be like an executioner sword. But you're not really supposed to fight with those. I have not seen Russ Mitchell's lecture. I'm always looking for lectures to listen to on my rides, so that works. The first word I mentioned, Sigi, S-I-G-I. S-I-G-I. What are some unique weapons you don't often see in fantasy that are actually very effective or cool? It's an interesting one. Billhooks. I'd say billhooks. Billhooks are great, but you never see billhooks in anything. Nobody ever has billhooks. It's wild. I don't know why. I don't know why there's not a single billhook in Dark Souls. It makes no sense to me. Why is there no billhook? There's like every other kind of polearm under the sun. Except for some Chinese polearms, I guess, and some Japanese, come to think of it. As far as European polearms are concerned, there's like every kind of polearm under the sun in Dark Souls, except for the billhook. I don't get it. I do not get it. Makes no sense. Trying to decide what cut I want to do. Oh, what do I want to cut? Yeah, not quite what I want. Oh, what do I want to throw? What do I want to throw? Spam stab. What's a unique blade that I think could use some billhook again? What's a unique blade? Billhook. There are not enough billhooks. I'm so upset by the lack of billhooks. This is very personal and near to me. There need to be more billhooks. Period. There is a critter in my woods. What's over there? You're a cat. Hello. I see you. There's a cat in my woods. Use a Highlander. Show the moves. The moves I used against the Melania was just spamming jump attack and the charged R2 on the Darkmoon Greatsword, which I guess was just me going, boom, I did it, and then boom, jumping attack. That's all I did for Melania. Just jumping attack and charge attack. That was it. Fencing masks, so good at deflecting thrusts. Almost like they're supposed to. Incredible. If I had the rubber tip on it, they'd be sticking. If I go for the neck, I can get it to stick. Or if I turn it around, I could turn it around. Then it will stick. Ugh. Ugh. Or I miss it. That's just because I said it would stick. I immediately miss the thrust. Turns around for me. What if I do like a, yeah, one of those. A little one-handed, sneaky, oh, whiffed it. There it is. Then you go for that one-handed little pop. It's not a particularly great cut, but I mean, you might as well smack them with it, right? They're there. Ooh. Yeah. Just mulching this mask over here. How often, if at all, is grappling a thing maybe for shorter weapons. Like constant, not constant, but like the shorter the weapon, the more likely it is you're going to grapple. Just as a matter of fact. Like long master fighting, I'll grapple all the time. So much grappling. If you're not grappling, you will be very soon. Longsword, moderate bit of grappling. Rapier, some, less grappling in rapier, but definitely still some. The longer your reach, the less likely it is you grapple. And the less useful your sword is when you do grapple. There's a, swords get long and your arms are only but so long. So if you get to a point where you can't get your sword on in some way, it kind of discourages grappling. But if you get a shorter sword, you can get in there, or you can get the hits, whatever, striking with the cross. Not that you do the cross strikes to friends. Don't cross strike your friends. It will concuss them terribly. Terribly, terribly concussed. Also this one. Don't just like full force like whammo onto a mask. Bad time. Do it as a prank? No. That's how I get a problem. Oh, hey, Liam. Good to see you. Yeah, I agree, Con. If chivalry, like, I love like efforts to achieve a degree of accuracy, but if armor worked in chivalry, it would be a miserable game. It would not be fun. There are very few ways to make armor work, really work in a video game, and not have it be a just kind of miserable experience. Yeah, you're just, you don't, it doesn't work. You can't. I've yet to see anybody really do armor. Like even Kingdom Come, which prides itself on having very accurate combat, still at the end of the day lets you kind of just beat people down through their armor, or like lets you do attacks that just kind of magically hit the gaps and don't really like it. That's just how it goes. Though they definitely make armor. That's the game that has made armor work the closest to actually like for realsies working. Because when you have armor on, you are an absolute tank. What's my favorite? I'm up 7 points in a match. Watch this move. Oh, gee. What is it? Gosh, what is my favorite? I'm up 7. I think usually that's when I start going for disarms. I think that's my disarm time. Yeah, I don't tend to. I don't usually try to show off in tournaments. I'm usually pretty business oriented when I'm competing. I don't consider myself a try-hard, but if I'm at a tournament, I don't usually like goof off in the matches. Sometimes I do. If I do, it's because I know the person. I think that tends to be my thing. Like if I know the person, I'm probably going to goof off with them. But if I'm fighting somebody I don't really know, I'm just business. But let's see. I'm trying to think of like what I've done. Jeez, I think there was. I always liked the idea of using weapons like wrong when you're trying to goof off in a tournament. Like go to a rapier tournament and do nothing but cuts. I kind of wanted to do that for my finals match. I regret not asking. I think he would have gone for it. My silver match. Yeah, I wish I'd asked him if he would do cuts only with me. That would have been a hoot. I would have loved that. Just confound the judges. Like, they didn't land. The point scoring is for thrusts. All you're doing are these 1-point cuts. I'm like, yeah, of course we are. We're having fun. Good times. But yeah, I'd say if I had to pick like one thing that I try to pull off, is it's when I start going for the disc arms. Yeah, I am excited for Kingdom Come too. Maybe a little bit of allergies. Have I been wounded by sword? Yes. This finger doesn't go all the way no more. That was a finger break. It never quite came back. So that's permanent. That's nothing. Let's see. I've got. Oh yeah, there. A scar right there. What else? I think that's pretty much it for stuff that like is still visible. I have another broken finger somewhere. I think it was this one. I think this one broke. I remember it being like I broke one, then I broke the other, like back to back. It was weird. Have I ever brought my sword to a non-history convention? No, I have not, because those places don't usually allow steel. So no, I have not. Ren fairs, yes, Ren fairs that allow steel, but most cons don't allow. Well, no, okay. There was one time. One time I did. That's because we were invited as exhibitors. So I was putting on sword demos, so I had my swords. But as a like guest, no, never have. Could an experienced unarmored fighter beat a novice in full armor? Yeah, I think so. I could see it, because I feel like a novice in armor's an experience. Armor, there's like an acclimation period to wearing armor, and I think especially it's just the lack of vision is real. Like if they're fully enclosed, like if we're talking like full late medieval plate, whatever. As soon as that visor goes down, it's going to be weird for the person who's never done that before. Meanwhile, the person who is comfortable fighting outside of armor, yeah, I think in that context, they probably have a good shot. I'd probably try to get into some sort of grapple and then just throw the person. Because throwing people around is kind of not quite universal. There are considerations when you're grappling somebody who's in armor, especially in armored, because there's a lot of things that the armor can bite you, or pinch you, or grab you, or armor does things. Armor is not pleasant to grapple against. But I think somebody who has a lot of experience against a total novice could probably chuck that armored person onto their can, and then that's that. As soon as it gets to the ground game, the person who's never worn armor before, who doesn't have any experience doing ground game, is just going to get flattened. It's just, ugh. So VR, I've done some VR fencing stuff. My issue with VR fencing is that you can't feel your sword, which for me is kind of important for my aim. Like when I'm trying to aim a thrust, I aim because I can feel the sword. I can feel the length of it. I can feel it kind of pulling, right? Like it weighs against my hand. So I intuitively know where the tip is, just from like the feel of it. I like how I'm going to try to make a thrust happen without being able to see the target I'm aiming at. Ah, it's there. That was kind of close. Yeah, what if I like close my eyes first? I hit it. I'll take that. I don't really know what I was trying to prove there. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, I can feel the presence of the sword. I find that like I know where my tip is. I can feel where the tip is. When you have a VR remote, there's no tip presence. So like my tip being here and my tip being there doesn't really feel different. But I can feel it with the sword, the real sword. In the latest Kingdom Come 2 video, there was a dude whose padded coif fell over his male shirt, and I was really confused. I'd have to see it. That's my opinion on Olympic fencing. It's fine. It doesn't really interest me, but it's fine. What if someone were to try to implement classic manual moves and maneuvers into a gameplay format? Any pointers on how to access them to do so? Oh, access how? Have I ever gotten concussions from maces? Not from maces. I don't think I've gotten a concussion. Maybe. There was one tournament where I might have. That was a long time ago, though. If I wasn't concussed, I was probably pretty close to it. Quick question: would it be possible in a fight to spin a Zweihander like a? I wouldn't. I've played around with spinning it around like that. The issue that you run into is the more complex the guard and the parrying lugs and stuff, the less appealing. If your two-handed sword was just a simple cross guard and a really long blade, yeah, you could probably like do it. As soon as you start adding those parrying lugs and then the side rings, it gets to be, it kind of scares like I'm like when I was doing it, I was like super concerned I was gonna just jab my hands on the lugs. I wouldn't recommend, if you have parrying lugs, I definitely would not recommend it. My best sword's not out here. Although, I mean, like, as far as metals go, I mean, this sword's, I've gotten a silver with this one, so like, I guess this is my best sword. I guess. Through achievements, this is my best sword. I feel like that'd be a fun thing to do with, like, if you ever break a sword, to kind of like lay it to rest with the medals it won. Just like make a sort of like memorial to it. If I was a more competitive person, I feel like that'd be a really fun, like if I broke the blade doing sort of an Ondoril type shadow box with like the sword and then the broken blade, and then hang your medals that you won using that sword off of it, I feel like that would look really, really cool. Explain the Oberhau. It's an overview. It's every now and then you get something that's like, it's so simple that you have to pause and be like, wait, how do I explain? Oberhau is the overview. It is a cut from above. That's the Oberhau is a categorical term as well. So there are multiple Oberhau. Oberhau is just a categorical term to describe a descending cut from above. So it could be any Oberhau, 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 over, unter, over, right? It's just directional. So Oberhau, Mittelhau, Unterhau, cuts from below. The Oberhau is generally strongest. Because you're able to kind of like sink your body weight down onto it, which you can't do. You can't sink your body weight into a rising cut. That doesn't, if I try to sink into it, no good. I can sink on the descending cut. So your power rating here goes like the straight vertical, you can get the body weight drop, and you can kind of engage the hips a little bit. I'm tired of like smacking it on the metal. I'm gonna go with this part. Going right here. No, stop it. Go back. Stay. Forget it. Anyways, so yeah, you can get a bit of a hip turn with it. You get the body weight drop. It's a strong cut, but your strongest cut is going to be the Zornhau, which is an Oberhau. The Wrath cut is a descending diagonal cut, which lets you really put your body, the movement, the like rotational force of your body into the cut, way more so than just descending with a body weight drop. This lets you really, oh, geez. Yeah. Lets you really, oh, that's a new piece of damage. Yeah. So there, proof in the pudding. This mask was already in rough shape, but I have now separated that last swing there, separated this piece from that piece. So yeah, there you go. It's a potent angle to cut. Yeah, there are a lot of depictions of open visor fighting. I agree, but you know, if they're a complete novice with fighting in armor, they're probably going to put their visor down, right? Oh, thank you, Daniel. I'm glad I could have inspired you. Has my sword combat ever come in handy in day-to-day life? I think from like a general fitness standpoint, it has. There's like body, like coordination benefits, kind of stuff. I've never had to like sword fight anybody in real life, but Dinner to HEMA, what are my preferred sources for manuscripts specifically? As far as sources for manuscripts, Wiktenauer. Wiktenauer. It's great. Do I think an attachment onto VR controls would make to add weight in the shape of a sword would help? Yeah, probably. I think so. What you need is like a little bit of weight ahead of the hand. So the point balance on this sword is right about here. So I feel like if you just had just a little weight just ahead of the hand, that would probably help a lot. How do I look like without my mustache? You can just check my videos from 2023 and before. I grew it this year. So just go then. Just go back. I do like the mustache. Ooh, new translation on Meyer. I'll check it out. Or oh, the whole translations of. Never mind. I thought it was a new translation of his not new manuscript. Because I think we were still waiting on some of the translation for the armored stuff, right? Oh, thank you, Eric. I am very far behind on the chat. I have played Hellish Court. I should stream it sometime. What is my best representation of traditional weapon techniques in video games? Hellish Court. There you go, Hellish Court. Hellish Court feels like fencing. It's great. I love it. It's a great game. I think having a physical copy helps when you're trying to study from the manuscripts. Having a physical copy, I find helps. It depends on your learning style. I find when I'm trying to reference stuff, having a digital version is easier because I can just like Control F and find what I'm looking for. But when I'm sitting there trying to do the thing, I like having the book that I can like look at the book, do the thing, look at the book, do the thing, and I don't have to sit there and fuss with a screen. I really gotta. Sorry, I gotta try to catch up. Oh yeah, I agree with Liam there. Having a physical book lets you write in them, or easily notes and stuff are super helpful. Yeah, my copy of Meyer is all noted up. I have sticky notes all over it. I wake up in a medieval cart. What am I going to do? Double check that I'm not on my way to be executed in Skyrim. In that case, I'm going to start hoping for that dragon. What's the difference between a broadsword and an arming sword? Oh, jeez. Potentially nothing. Potentially something. They're both sort of... Arming sword's a more specific term than broadsword. Broadsword, depending on when you're looking at the term, it can mean anything from a like Scottish basket-hilted broadsword to a longsword. A broadsword's a very unspecific term. It just means a sword that is broader than other swords, ultimately. So an arming sword, compared to like a rapier, is a broadsword. And then rapier is not the most specific term either. It's a mess. I find that typically now, when people are talking about broadswords, they usually mean... But then it might also be a community thing. As far as the HEMA community is concerned, when you say broadsword, you're usually meaning a later period sword. What's the longest sword? Longest a sword can get before it gets uncomfortable and possible to get out of a hip-mounted sheath? That depends on you. People have different arm lengths. That's going to change it, right? Someone with longer arms, proportionate to their body, can draw a longer sword. It's very variable. Can I do a quick ox guard explanation? Maybe. Let me see if I can... Cool. The 1561 is a full up. Let's see. A new sword order is there. Is there any day that's more exciting than when I order and get a new sword? When I order and get new armor. You find your upper back getting tired? I would double check that you're not tense, I suppose. That I find that, like, if you're like tensing up too much and you're like sitting there like really like holding the stress, like just tense, that's burning energy you don't need to burn. So make sure that you're not like clenching up when you take the guard. As physical training for strength and mobility with a blade extend to other exercises that don't involve with using one, better stick with training the weapon exclusively. So I feel like that's a two-stage question here. Does physical training for strength and mobility with a blade extend to other exercises that don't involve using one? Sure. Sword fighting tends to develop a very particular sort of group of muscles, which don't always translate to other things super great. But if you ever need to just kind of hold something out for a while, it's got your back there. Or if you need to like sit, I do find that fencing translates really well to being able to comfortably do this for long periods of time. So if you are an American who doesn't culturally squat down like this, feet flat on the ground, fencing will help you do that, which honestly has come in handy. And there's a reason why there are groups of the world that sit like just kind of squat down like this. It works. It's a good way to sit without sitting. So that's probably helpful. I can do this a lot longer now that I've been fencing. That's fun. That's a perk. As far as the other one, is it better to stick to training with the weapon exclusively? No. There's other like things that you can be doing to help your fitness that don't involve having the sword in your hand that are worth doing. What would happen if you wielded a long pike on horseback for maximum reach? You would have a lance. The winged hussars had lances that were pike length. They had big lances. Hello, Bobby. Good evening from the US. Okay, because I have heat of using an offhand dagger, but never what you wield in your... I'm sorry, I don't understand that one. Opinion on dual wield Zweihander reverse grip spinning attack. Unstoppable technique. One could only hope to have so much power. I realized I hadn't swung my sword in a minute. Yeah, that was a bad one. That felt bad. I didn't like that one. That one scooped. I hit, I scooped, I could feel the twang. Oh, that's so loud. Oh my goodness. Prellhow, I love Prellhow. You know, maybe that. Maybe Liam. Maybe it's the Prellhow. Maybe that's my tournament trick. As I try to get him with the Prell. Oh, if I could get him with the double Prell, that would be top. Double Prell's weird. I've been trying to figure out why. I've been trying to figure out the why of the double Prell, and I don't know. I mean, I conceptually get it. One Prell, two Prell hit. I suppose, like, you build up enough rebound that you get the flick. I usually just do one. Thank you, Morgan. You fence saber and you're wondering if you switch to HEMA. What are the pros and cons of HEMA? If you're coming from a sport fencing background, it will be far less structured. So if you find, for whatever reason, the structure of like sport fencing suffocating, you might like HEMA. But if you like structure, you might not like HEMA. It's going to depend a lot on your play, on where you end up. HEMA is not a monolith. It is just a bunch of people of different backgrounds, of different interests, of different intensities, doing sword stuff. So if you find a club that you really jive with, then yeah, that's going to be fun. The training of a sport fencing club will probably yield you better athletic results. A lot of HEMA clubs are very focused on elements of the scholarship. So whereas, you know, if you think about like the amount of time you're spending doing stuff, moving and doing activities, you're probably going to have more physical activity. I'm almost certain you'll have more physical activity doing the sport club, whatever, fencing stuff. Because there's going to be instructional time where you're like really trying to dig into texts and stuff. All the scholarship of HEMA that I think eats into training time. But if you like the scholarship, then, you know, more power to you. If you, I really like the scholarship side of stuff. You know, I like reading the texts. I like trying to understand what's going on there. So for me, that's really enriching, but it might not be for everyone. You also don't have to give up one. You don't have to switch. You could just like do both, right? Unless, of course, it's too expensive, which is, of course, an issue unto itself. But money notwithstanding, money and time notwithstanding, you could do both. I know people who do. Thoughts on the new character in Hellish Court? She's going to be using a saber and a struck. I haven't seen her at all. I got to check that out. That sounds cool. Thank you, Akira. Are there specific names for Scottish Claymore techniques? I'm not entirely, like, I don't quite, I'm not, it's not something I really spend much focus on. So I'm not quite sure where we're at with that. From what I understand, it's kind of a Franken system at the moment where a lot of people who practice that kind of stuff, Highland stuff, piece it together from other regimental manuals. Hi, honey. Hello. Did I reply? I am in my 30s. No, I did not play Roblox. I played Minecraft. I didn't play Roblox. I played Minecraft when it came out. All right. I was back there for version 1.0 whatever. I was there for the very beginning. I was there back when you could buy Minecraft for like $5 because it was in beta. I remember those days. That's how old my account is. No, I didn't play Roblox. Any thoughts on the recent drama surrounding the Siggy lights? Oh boy, I want to get one. I mean, I want to play around with one. Let people do their thing. People were all up in arms because they're like, "Oh, it's gonna sportify everything," and if it happens, it happens. I guess. I don't know. There's some really compelling reasons to do the Siggy light, but I don't really have any. I'm withholding opinions until I have one in hand. Can you train effectively with sticks to learn sword techniques to a point? I mean, like single stick is a thing. Like as soon as you so single stick is it's a stick, and then you just have like a leather handguard, and it works. So yes, you can train effectively with sticks to learn sword fighting. It's a yeah. Who is the best swordsman I faced? Maybe Mackenzie. Mackenzie, what's his last name? Mackenzie Mackenzie E. We're just gonna go with Mackenzie E. What is his last name? Edwig E something. He was definitely the best person I've ever faced. He was a menace. That man is made of rubber. He competed internationally, so like that was serious business. Hello, I got a comment. Welcome, Akira Knight, to Tall Flutter's Flock. Made that a bit of a tongue twister. He got gold in Swordfish Ringen one year. I don't remember which year it was. But yeah, he took gold wrestling. He didn't even have a sword. He wrestled the gold. Yeah, he's good. I haven't seen him in a while. I wonder what he's doing. Weapon stripping techniques? I assume you mean disarms? If you mean disarms, then yes, we do practice disarms. How easily would one be able to wield a halberd with a shield? I've played around with it, actually. I've done a little bit of halberd and shield. A really important piece to making halberd and shield work is having a guige strap, which is the neck strap that your shield hangs from. That's really important because if you are trying to support the weight of the shield entirely with your arm plus the halberd, and you're sitting there trying to like swing the halberd around while also taking the weight of the shield, it doesn't work. It's too much. The shield's going all over the place. It's I don't care if you're like I'm not the biggest brawniest guy. Like I accept that, but I don't care how strong you are. Having several pounds of shield on your arm, being supported by your arm while you try to move a halberd around is going to slow you down relative to not having it. So, maybe you can move it well because you're really strong and you can do both. But think about how much faster you could be if you didn't have the weight of it on your arm and you could use that strength to just move the halberd even faster. I'd do that. But when you have a guige strap taking the weight of the shield off your arm, now you have the ability to move that leading arm fairly unencumbered, relatively speaking, while the shield just sort of drapes. And that actually kind of works. Sushi asks, I'm an amateur swordsman who has a decent defense but cannot swing or strike with the same confidence. Anything I can do to fix this? That's... Anything I can do to fix? There are a bunch of things that could be factoring into the lack of confidence. You know, one could be you don't feel safe. Like maybe do you not feel safe attacking? You sit there and you're like, and you're kind of like and you just you just do sort of a half-hearted little then maybe it's a bit of exposure therapy. You know, you have to get past that threshold of being hesitant to attack to getting to the mindset where you know that if you attack, you are forcing them to react to you. And in that mindset, there's a lot of power to be had, of knowing how to create that pressure to get a response out of them. That part is important. There could be, do you have hesitance to actually hit somebody? Because that's something that people struggle with a lot. Is they see something and they just don't, they can't, or they'll kind of like, ooh, like they'll deliberately miss because they don't, or they'll like kind of pull it, or any other number of things because they don't want to hit the person. That's probably like tell your instructor that you're uncomfortable hitting people, and they'll probably put a mask on and then just be like, hit me, do it again, and just kind of just get you used to hitting people. If it's not feeling like you can land anything, so you don't feel a hesitation to hit a person, and you don't feel hesitation to engage because you feel scared. If it's neither of those two psychological things, and it's like you're just kind of like attack, and then they block it and nothing happens, and you get to hear, and then you don't know what else to do. If you don't know what else to do at that stage, then that's you need to develop more things in your toolbox. If you feel okay about launching an attack and you know things that you can do after the attack, but you just feel like you don't get into that space, it might be a factor of getting better at picking the moment to attack, or otherwise getting better at forcing reactions from them. So getting more comfortable with sort of setting up second intention actions before you've clashed. So maybe I'm trying to just build pressure to create an opening. So maybe I'm playing like the foot game out here. I'm kind of shifting, changing guards or whatever. And then I want to provoke them. So I get to like here. I watch. And I try to see, like, do they flinch? Do they attack? What? Like, I'm trying to build knowledge of what they're going to do. And then from there, watching them, if I see the opening, I can take it. If I've provoked something, I could try to take it away and then move in. It's hard to diagnose it without being able to see fencing. So just take all this with a grain of salt. I'm just throwing out possible ideas for you to maybe bring up to your instructors. But without being able to actually see you fence, it's hard to say anything. I have been to Italy. I have. Yes, I have been to Italy. Venice and Rome. All right, let's see. Oh boy, yeah, once again, I have been rambling long enough that I've lost. What's the highest level of competition I've gotten into? Highest level of I've been slotted to fight in Tier A at Raleigh Open this year. I don't feel like a Tier A fencer, but apparently that's where I'm going. Tier A. Woo. The shark pit. Shark, what is it? Shark pool. There we go. Yeesh. What am I doing in Tier A? Serious question. I have an SCA hard suit background and a tiny bit of saber fencing. I'm wondering how that translates to HEMA and lightsaber. Probably fine. I mean, so regardless of what, like, learning how to hit people with sticks and not get hit by sticks back, there are certain universal constants. I insist that there are universal constants. Timing and distance. You learn timing and distance, you can take that anywhere. You will always have that. So while there might be some particulars that you need to acclimate to, strong timing and distance, and then in relation to those, footwork is sort of like this timing and distance subcategory A, footwork will get you far. The guy who reposted my stuff gone now? I don't think so. I think they're still there. How am I doing on battery? I seem to be doing okay. Man, it really does stay light out for light out now. I thought I was only going to be out here for an hour. I guess it is on. Well, actually, no. Yeah, it's not even an hour yet. Maybe I did time this right. Let's see. What inspired me to get into this type of combat sport, and have I done it? Having a fascination with sword fighting stuff. I just liked sword fight. I liked Zorro. I liked Gomez Adams. I liked Princess Bride. You know, I've always liked it. So I wanted to learn fencing for a long time, and then I never got the chance to go to a fencing club. And then when I was in college, I found out about a HEMA club, and then I joined up with them, and I've been there for like 10 years. I did do Taekwondo back in the day. I did do that. How often do I do sword and shield combat versus two-handed sword fighting? I'd probably say about 90% two-handed sword fighting. I don't do much shield. It doesn't interest me. I have shields. Buckler is, I find buckler to be the most interesting. I don't find larger shield fighting entertaining. It's just, the shield is too constraining in a way. Not like specifically in a, I don't know how to fight around a shield kind of way. That's not what I mean, but also kind of. Like, I find sword and shield fighting just, it's too much of just that, like, it's just too much, like, the shield is too good at what it does. The shields are too good at closing things off. I don't find, my favorite sword stuff is just a single sword. That is my favorite. I don't like one-handed sword, two-handed sword. It doesn't matter. I prefer two-handed sword. That's a personal preference. But generally speaking, just I find fighting with one sword to be the most interesting, because your one thing has to now do both jobs, right? Your sword is your means of attack and it's your means of defense. You can't defend and hit. I mean, you can defend and hit, but that's a more complicated thing. Like, it's more interesting. If I want to defend and hit with this singular sword, I have to do some funky stuff to make it happen. And that's way more interesting to me than being able to just block and hit. And by extension, the reason why I like buckler the most of any shield stuff is because bucklers are tiny. And so you can still do all that kind of fun single sword stuff, but then you can like do the splitty off business with the buckler. And that's more interesting than, again, just shield is shield is shield is shield. What's the worst injury I've gotten from sword fighting? That broken finger. It don't go back all the way. I did. Ow. It doesn't go all the way anymore. Any advice for solo practice if they don't have HEMA club instructors? Oh, it's hard. I always have a hard time giving advice for solo stuff. it's so tricky because there are so many things that you could start doing wrong, and it's kind of scary to suggest things because there are ways you can like really kind of like mess up your body if you start doing this vigorously improperly. Like if I've had to correct students who will like kind of like walk almost, I'm exaggerating here, but you know, they'll walk with their feet all weirdly out of alignment, or they'll like try to like take a deep step like sideways, and but their knee will be going forward and they'll be doing, oh no, 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 no. So it's kind of terrifying, a terrifying prospect to make recommendations for solo practice when you have no idea what they'll be doing. Whoa, hey, great question. What are some common pitfalls and bad habits that newcomers might fall into when learning the sword? Oh, the foot one. The feet, this is a big one, is like feet not being in agree. Here, let me make it in the mid distance. It's like feet not being in agreement and like stressing your joints because you stepped with your foot out and you start to crumple. That is very bad. Don't do that. Feet, toe knee agreement. Toe knee agreement. There are times where you can kind of like do funky stuff. You can do like funky stuff with your feet, but it's always about keeping that agreement with your toes and your knees. That's important. That's very important. Besides that one, there's wrists. So I'm tackling the ones that like get people hurt. The other one that gets people hurt is wrists. So when cutting, moving us over here. So when cutting, you want your wrists to stay nice and straight. The sword, so my hand, arm, nice and straight, sword into the hand, boom. Wrist is straight. The sword is angled because the sword is angled in my hand. I do not get that angle by bending my wrist. This bad, this good. It's a subtle difference, but it's a very important one. So again, this bad, this good. Oh man, even just demonstrating that was unpleasant. Yeah, don't do that. So people don't always have that problem when they're just holding the sword, but when they start to cut on a target, they will allow the sword to sort of pull past their hand. And you end up, so even if they started off in a good grip position, as they cut, they start to bend the wrist even with the good position. Like they'll end up in kind of like this position here. And that's again straining the wrist. Bad. Don't do that. So as you're cutting, wrists straight. It'll save you in the long run. That'll really stress out your wrists. Other common pitfalls. Another one is specifically with longsword, not entirely related to the last one, because you can make this mistake without messing up your wrists. You can overshoot, but it's the getting too invested in the push-pull idea of a two-handed sword. Yes, there's an amount of push-pull, but there are people who like really get into the idea that everything has to be like cut like this, like that. And as soon as that pommel starts to like creep up into your like forearm area, you start to foul the cut up. So yes, there are definitely times to like shoot to basically a straight alignment, but it can be a pitfall if you start to get over much on the push pull, and it starts to tweak the wrist. And also, just even if you're not taking it to the point of tweaking your wrist, it can still be a harmful influence on your cut, the performance of your cut. Even if you're not taking it to a point where it's causing you physical harm, it might still mess up the performance of the cut. How much does having that perfect fetter matter? Not really. It doesn't really matter. Like I think there are some fetters, like having a feather that works for you is very helpful, but you can make do without it. As long as it's like an okay feather. I mean, there are some like truly terrible feathers out there, which probably won't be helping you at all. But you know, you don't need like a top of the line feather. You know, just a nice, good regagne. I like my Siggy a lot. The handling really serves me well, but I would probably be able to do just as well in a tournament using like a regagne standard. I probably wouldn't like the experience of using it very much. Regagne standards are big and kind of clunky, but I could probably use it fine. How far is chat? How far behind am I on chat? Let me just. Oh, Stormageddon. It really shows to show how far. I just found the answer to my halberd and shield question. A response to my answer to the halberd and shield question. If you want to do a halberd and shield thing, look up Ecranche. Ecranche, yeah, ENCRANCHE. I think Ecranche. It's basically like the shield. They're you see them all the time in jousts. It's that little shield that kind of hangs out here, but there are other field versions of that shield that would be, I think, perfect for your character. It's just though I would probably categorize it at armor. Like if I was trying to to rule it for someone, I would just say that it's armor at that stage, because it drapes. It's like a big pauldron essentially, and you don't actively use it very much. It just hangs and drapes, and you can position your body behind it, but you're not actively shielding with it very much. So I'd just brew it as a type of armor. Have I ever used any Okinawa weapons? No, I haven't. Not knowingly, at least. One of my favorite Swordtubers, other than Matt Easton, Scala Gladiatoria, is great. Fantastic. Shout out to Scholagrim. He's been around forever, and he's still trucking. I mean, that's remarkable. Just it's been years. He's been doing this for years. This sword tubing stuff. I mean, it's so impressive to have been doing this for so long. I think Skull's done a lot of good stuff for the publicity of HEMA. I watched Skull when I was starting out. Yeah, I think he just did a lot of good for popularizing this. I don't think his contributions can really be undersold to the general public awareness of HEMA. He's great. Bjorn Ruther, also great. Bjorn's wonderful. We've spoken a little bit, Bjorn and I, a little bit in passing, but yeah, he's great. I highly recommend his stuff, especially if you want Meyer. If you want Meyer, Bjorn is a fantastic resource. I reference him all the time. He's also been in this for a while. He's put some serious years into Meyer. Meyer for me has been more of a recent fascination. I only started to really get into Meyer about 2 years ago. I'm mostly an earlier KDF kind of guy, but I needed something more. I needed to, after doing conventional KDF for I keep saying conventional Kiev, but like Ringeg, Danzig, Lev, those sources. After doing those sources for about 8 years, I needed to change, right? Yo! All right, I'll probably wrap it up here soon. I didn't even realize you were all the way. I didn't even know you were out there. I thought you just stepped out to check up on me. I thought you just stepped out to check up on me. Oh. I've been there the whole time. You comfy up there? You comfy up there? Yeah. I do have a day job, yes. Legionnaire versus Fiore. They have more in common than not. The thing that Fiore doesn't have that's very fun are the Zwerk house, right? Zwerks are fun. I love Zwerks. So for that alone, I give it to Lichtenauer over Fiore for the abundance of Zwerkaus. They're just so fun. I love them. I love them so much. I have played D&D. I have only very recently though. People think I've been playing D&D forever. I've not. I've been playing it for like a year. I really like Sword Bard, College of Swords Bard. I feel like College of Swords Bard is a great fencing character. I feel like this is going to tip over. Any advice for footwork drills and exercises? Bad habit of relying on your reach and staying too rooted. I know the feeling. I know the feeling. For me, it's a matter of moving on the approach with a plan to still be moving on the withdrawal. So if I get surprised, I usually root in. I will typically start to root. Oh, geez, it's so dark. Hopefully this works. So if somebody like jumps me, I'm just like boom. I tend to lock in, but which I shouldn't necessarily. A certain amount of locking in, sure, but I should. A personal thing I'm trying to be about is moving once that approaching clash happens. Usually I lock in because when I get jumped with like a clash, usually turns to grappling pretty quickly. So I like to be stanced up to receive the grapple. But for me, when I want to get offline movement in my plays, I'm usually going into the pass with a plan to do so. I know I'm going to do it. So it's a difference on the approach of knowing I'm going to be making that offline movement very quickly. And I find that helps, like thinking on the approach. Okay, I pick a side on the approach. I'm looking on the approach. I'm doing whatever it is I'm doing, and I'm deciding which side I'm going to push off to, and then I push off to that side. The other one that I tend to do is thinking about stepping. Just whenever you do a follow-up cut, just think about stepping out on that follow-up cut, because you're probably stepping on your cuts a little bit. I will usually push my passing steps deep because I'm always chasing deeper targets. So if I get into a clash out here, my next action, if I can get there, is I'm probably going to be coming deeper off to the side. So to do that, maybe just when you're practicing with somebody, just do a very isolated drill of engage, off. Engage, off. Engage, off. And just work that. Anyways, it's super duper dark now. Ugh. Ugh. All my light is gone. No more light. We're going to go up to the pergola, where I will attempt to... Yeah? Whoa. Where is she? Oh, she's laying down. You're about to see yourself on stream. Isn't that weird? Wow. Where is she? There she is.
As I'm watching myself.
Oh, I just stepped. I didn't got through all that, and then I just now step on my shoelace.
Oh, of course, just now.
Of course I did. Stepping on my shoelace. Ugh. Now I can like
turn down my volume.
I can do this for a little bit. I'll try to catch up on the chat. Oh, this is weird. Yeah. Oh, let's see. Okay, just gonna check. I want to wrap things up here. It's almost 9 o'clock, so I'm just gonna zip zap zoop here. How loud is full plate? Very. It's very loud. Carbon steel is called carbon steel because there is carbon in it. It's carbon, like, yeah, there's a carbon. I mean, I don't know what more to say there. There's carbon in it. It's a blend of like iron, carbon stuff. The carbon gives you desirable properties. Any preferred Maestro? Shilhau. I love Shilhau. Love Shilhau so much. Zverkow too. Zverkow, but like everybody likes Zverkow, so that's like a cop-out answer. Everybody who does Zverkow loves Zverkow. So it's Shilhau then. Hot takes on HEMA. I don't know. I don't feel like I have many hot takes. Nothing comes to mind at the moment. I'm sure I've got some. I'm gonna like end the stream and then remember. I'm sure. Favorite helmet? Salet. If asked, would I consult on a fantasy movie or TV production? Oh, that'd be so much fun. I would love to. As a two-handed swordsman now, am I confident in facing somebody who's using a sword and shield? To circle all the way back to that previous question, shields are really good at what they do. I find the single sword more entertaining because I feel like there's more to be done there, and in doing so, more opportunities to hit people. So trying to use a two-handed sword against a sword and shield is not a fun time. I've done it. It's the shield. The very presence of shields shuts down so many options that it's not even like about me using the shield that's unfun. It's fighting somebody else who has a shield, which is unfun. The shields are too good at what they do. There's a reason why they were used forever. It ends up being a lot of Geisel shots against the shield, because like that's about all you got going for you when you have a longsword. Is you have a very long handle and a pretty long blade, and generally their legs, you can throw cheap shots at their legs and they can't do a whole lot about it because they generally don't have the same reach as you, so you can get away with it because you have the reach advantage. So you just sit there and do leg shots, and it's not fun. What movie, in my opinion, gets the most right when it comes to sword fighting? Either The Duelists or The Deluge. Either one of those. Are my live streams typically on Tuesdays? No, pretty much never on. Yeah, never on Tuesdays. Actually, I'm at class on Tuesdays. My live streams, I usually stream on Sundays. I've recently been streaming Elden Ring on Sundays, but that's just because I've been playing through Elden Ring. So once I finish up with Shadows of the Erdtree, I will probably go back to doing streams like this on Sunday. I find Sunday to be a good day to stream. So yeah, just whenever I finish Shadows of the Erdtree, you can expect me to go back to streaming this on Sundays. I am not confident. Smurf, I like to study the texts, but I am in no way capable of translating them. I am entirely reliant on other people to translate them. And then I will happily read the translations and try to work from those. I'm not qualified to translate. I picked up bits and pieces, but yeah. So sorry if I end up skipping your question. I'm trying to catch up, and then I can.
You were very behind.
Yeah, I was super behind. Hopefully, I'm getting closer. How did the hilt of my sword get beaten up?
You're still a ways away.
How did that? Oh, geez, you can't even see the damage. Tournament. There's space between my hands. Swords hit in this space. I've actually like I've realized sometimes I will actually parry with my handle, not quite intentionally, but no, like subconsciously I know that I can parry with this, and so there have been times where I will actually, my body will be like, parry, boom, and then it'll parry. I'll just make that parry automatically with the handle because I know it's safe. So that has taken quite a few shots as a result. So it's pretty chewed up. I need to do a whole rewrap. All that black tape is from the fact that somebody gave it a real good crack at my last tournament and like splintered the handle. I mean, straight through the cord wrap, into the wood chunks everywhere. I just kind of shoved the chunks back in and then wrapped it up with tape. And I'm like, that'll hold. Part of the reason why I haven't fixed it yet is I'm terrified to see what it looks like under there. It's not going to be pretty. You're making some Meyer-esque manuals for fantasy world building. I don't know if I'll, depending on how complicated they are, I don't know that I'll have time to, but it certainly sounds interesting. I can't guarantee anything, but my contact email is on my channel, so just send a copy of it and I will read it if I can find the time for it. So no guarantees, but I would be interested in it. Oh boy, Eric the Younger asking about the triangle shape. About the this is a Schilt. I'm trying to move quickly. Look up Schilt. Sorry, I gotta get through this. That's your Google search for the day. Schilt. SCHILT. There's your Google search for the day. Go do that. I put on bug spray. I have
You
watched
like
the
it?
Acolyte. It's fun. I'm enjoying it. I'm curious to see where it goes.
What? Which one?
You.
I do. Okay, he runs with phantoms was asking me. I shouldn't be allowed in the chat.
You are unhinged in the chat, is what you are.
I could be much
Keith
worse.
Farrell. I've certainly read some of his work. I don't think I've met Keith. I don't think I've met Keith. Katanas. The most interesting thing about katanas to me are the grips. I like the grips of katanas. They're very complex, engineered things. You know, compared to just a cord wrap around some wood, they're super complicated. It's interesting. Over-engineered almost. But they get results. The handles, anyways.
And I just saw someone said I have to do a peace sign to show I'm real. No, I'm trying not to. Okay. Why would I not be the real?
And also just like put you in frame.
I'm hiding as I scroll through the chat.
Yeah, she's in frame now. She's real. She
I was
exists.
trying to get back to like wherever you are in the chat, but I don't. Have you gotten to someone calling you Robin of Locksley?
Maybe. I got to the Robin is the Robin-y looking
Okay,
Robin
yeah.
I've ever seen. He's my hood and reincarnate.
Okay, yeah. I'm back to where you're at.
Bugs in my ears. The big movement. Oh, I'm liking the discussion about Meyer and Lichtenauer here. Meyer has these big showier movements. So for me, Meyer, all that like twirly whirly stuff with Meyer is, I think, coming from a place where you need to up your deception game. I think Meyer's like all that flowy. So I think the Lichtenauer stuff works. Obviously it works, but I feel like on some level you get diminishing returns using it against other people who also know how to do that. And so what I see Meyer's flowy, flurry, whatever, is it's about setting up better bait to defeat competent, straightforward fencing, if that makes sense. It's like, how do you befuddle somebody who is very comfortable doing very simple actions? And I think that's where Meyer's playbook really starts to shine, is getting somebody who's happy with those simple movements and forcing them to move and draw them out. That's just kind of how I interpret it, though. The poleaxe is from I bought it on Cult of Athena. It's a Depika poleaxe. It's not a wall hanger. It's better than a wall hanger, but I don't expect any miracles out of it. Favorite cod piece, the ones from Meyer. I like the flower bloom. I think it's pretty. Does my wonderful mustache have a name? Does it have a name? Have you named it?
No,
No.
I have not thought about that. Do you want to name it?
I don't know. I didn't know that people named mustaches.
Mm.
I feel like if anyone's gonna name it, it's gonna be you. If there's a point on the tip of a mace, I presume some stuff. Yeah, yeah. If there's a point on the tip of a mace, yeah, you could stab with it. But maces are kind of. It's one of those things where maces are not good thrusting weapons, even if you have a pointy bit on it. That the weight's all at the front. Doesn't. It's not going to be very nimble in the point. It's just not a good thrusting weapon.
Someone wants to know if you'll bark for them.
Meow. Ha.
You had to think about it.
Yeah, I had to think about it. Task failed successfully. Oh goodness. Okay, what's this? In the Deluge saber fight, how on earth they do? Oh geez. I would need to rewatch it. Yeah, can I? I'm gonna like screenshot this. There. Okay. Shakate, thanks for the $10 tip there. I am going to have to review that. I will hopefully be able to come back to you with an answer on that. Maybe it'd make for a good video, I think.
Someone keeps asking English or Spanish. I don't know if they mean the language.
English.
Like...
Yeah. That'd be a good video prompt, so I'm gonna save that for later. Sure, you can email the Trench Warfare Longsword.
Someone wants more booty thirst traps.
Mm.
Still haven't done gray sweatpants.
Because I don't.
You do not own gray.
I don't have gray sweatpants. What are you talking about? I have like an old pair. I don't know if they want that. Just watch tomorrow's video. You'll be happy.
Oh, is it the boop?
Yeah. You'll be, if that's what you want, you'll be happy with tomorrow's video. Just watch that. Oh, geez. Design a full Elden Ring moveset with historic moves and outfitting. Yeah. Yeah, sure. That reminds me. I did a video where I tried to do a side-scrolling beat 'em up video. I did like a pixelation. I recorded it. I did pixelation. I did like cool visual effects and everything. And I think the video completely flopped. I was so proud of that video, and it flopped. And I think it's because people thought I was advertising a mobile game. I think they thought it was just a garbage mobile game that didn't exist. But I really tried on that video. Yeah, you don't even know it.
I do not recall this. What?
Yeah, I did a video where it was like a side-scrolling beat 'em up, where I pixelated myself and it looked cool. It looked like an old.
Oh yeah, I do remember.
Yeah,
that.
It looked like a cool arcade cabinet, and I was really proud of that video. And I did like cool like attack effects, and I did like cool like flat. It was fun. I liked it. I was so proud of it. And it had like 200 views.
Sorry, that.
Nobody. I think people thought it was fake. A fake game. I mean, it was a fake game, but like, you know. Oh, hey, I just found the bark comment. I'm really close.
I mean, they're coming in quick, so as you catch up, you're...
Do I sleep with the sword? Oh, no.
Because we only have the one.
I have a sword. Yeah, I have a sword.
But then you have your knife collection.
I have the sword by the bed. Does that
I have a knife on my side.
Does that count? You just need to give me like a little plushy sword. Like,
yay!
Just give me like a body pillow, but it's a long sword.
I'm sure. Hold on. Let me. Etsy's got me figured out. I'm sure this.
That'd be hilarious.
Cody said everyone repost that video. Gonna have a second life. That was a while ago.
Gosh, I don't even remember what it was called.
Yeah, because you were in your Plutohosen.
Yeah.
It was the red and blue with But yeah, you were like 16-bit.
Yep, I loved that video.
I forgot that.
What was it called? It was like Swordsman. I think it was called like I was trying. What's it called? I made up a video game name for it. Swordsman something, I think.
Someone wants to know your favorite drink.
Amaretto sour. Shakte, I am not so or like I'm not saying I'm not going to do that video, but if you want to see, we recently recorded a cool disarm video, so that's going up this week or next. I don't know which week, this week or next week. So stay tuned. It's not the saber disarm that I'm going to be looking into, but it is a disarm. So you should it's a cool disarm. I think it's a cool disarm.
I mean, I had fun filming it.
Yeah, it's cool. You snatch the sword straight out of their hand. It's great. I love it.
Oh, can you see the comment where they gave me money?
Oh, boop, boop, boop. I do. Yes, Shakti, I have a. Oh my goodness, do I ever have a video on this exact question?
It's under your most popular.
Yeah, it's literally my most popular video of all time.
Because I was going back to your most popular, and it's #1.
Yeah, it's literally just check my most popular video, and then there's an addendum video where check my long format videos. So the short is I recommend a sort of a hammer-headed poleaxe that is not very long, about longsword length in total. That's kind of my like a cane. Basically, is my recommendation because you can use it in one hand, you can use it in two hands. It gives you a good bit of reach. It's kind of idiot-proof because it's a hammer. So I have a video using that or talking about why I like it, and then I have a video using it on ballistic head targets or a ballistic head target. So that's just those two videos. They're good. And then I was so close to catching up with chat. I think moving forward, I need to stop manually scrolling, and I just need to let chat run, and then just be like, just keep asking questions. I'll get to it eventually. Oh no, there's another one. Oh, thank goodness, Ryan. Thank you so much for not asking a question. You could have asked a question. I would have seen it. But thank you for the donation. But I'd rather have a knob-headed walking stick or hook-ended for self-defense. Ooh.
Close.
I suppose the hook-ended, because then you could switch which side is forward. Am I religious? No.
Also, what soup would you be?
What soup would I be?
That's an interesting question.
What soup would I be? What soup would I be?
Jambalaya.
I'd be a jambalaya.
Does jambalaya count as a soup? Are we counting that as a soup or a stew?
I think it's a stew. Chat. Is jambalaya a soup or a stew? Or is it something else entirely? Is it a chili? Really, that's the curse. I feel like calling it a chili is like the cursed answer.
Ooh, no, not chili.
Yeah. It's a chili. Just make you uncomfortable, that one. Jambalaya.
Also, I thought this person asked Sith or Jedi in the sheets. It's in the streets. Also, they want to know, do you Star Wars cosplay?
Yeah.
Oh, it's Phantoms again.
Yes, I do Star Wars cosplay. Neither Sith nor Jedi, actually. I do Mandalorians. Yeah, that's always the curveball. I feel like everybody thinks with the swords. They're like, oh, he loves swords. He must be either a big Jedi or a Sith guy. No, I don't actually like Jedi or Sith very much. No, Sith are too edgy. Jedi are too boring. Mandalorians. Tachi, I like Tachi. I like Tachi more than Katana. I mean, Uchi Katana. I think Tachi are really pretty. I'm a clam chowder.
Not even know.
I don't even like clam.
Minestrone. Ooh.
Minestrone. Jambalaya without. Hey, mom. My mom's here. Hi, mom.
Yeah, I didn't see her.
She said. Mom says I'm jambalaya without shrimp.
Oh. I mean, yeah.
A fascinating prospect. What do I think Miyazaki means by light greatsword? What do I think would qualify? Oh, that is a fun one. So it's I kind of like the light greatsword is just a fascinating conclusion to me to make, and I get where I know exactly in my head the sort of be, and it's funny because we don't really there's not really a term in use by HEMA people for what a light greatsword would be. We all kind of know. We all know what the light greatswords are. It's like the really ridiculously long swords from Goliath. It's some of the Spadones. Marazzo, I think, has Marazzo's two-handed sword. It's this weird, not really a longsword, not really a great sword category of swords. And I have a blanket now.
Trying to protect you from the bugs.
Yeah, it's swords that are not. So one of the things when we talk about long swords is that they're two-handed. As a general rule, they are two-handed swords that are light enough that you can still use them all right in one hand. You know, they're not super maneuverable in one hand, but you can use them in one hand. You could, it's not the end of the world if you have to do it like that. The light great swords category and the real swords that they relate to are sort of truly two-handed swords, but they're two-handed swords that aren't big two-handed swords. They're still nimble enough that they can be used like long swords in two-hand. They're not so big that you hit that threshold where you become very much reliant on working with momentum. Long swords, basically the second hand on a long sword allows you to do these cool little like start stop quick movements. The second hand on a longsword makes it nimble. The second hand on a great sword is just necessary for use. And so I think the light greatsword is supposed to represent a sword that is as big as you possibly can get while still having the second hand providing nimbleness and not strictly control, if that makes sense. Very rambly answer.
While you have a pause, what is the most accurate set of armor from the Dark Souls games?
I did this. I did this once. It was the male set. One of the
Your hair.
it's one of the male sets because it's literally just like male. Like you got the male coif, the male body, and then the male chassis. There's basically the male set from Elden Ring. It's just head to toe male, and you have a surcoat. It's kind of hard to mess that up. The most fun answer is Lapse set. I really like Lapse set from Dark Souls 3. That is a very fun armor set. Big fan of that. It looks like it walked out of a... It's kind of a weird... It's a weird armor, but it's cool. And also it has a frogmouth helmet, and the frogmouth helmet doesn't have weird stretching. You know, video game armor, right? It tends to just stretch. The metal, they'll stretch. The lap set it's a frogmouth helmet that like bolts to the breastplate, and very enjoyably, they completely just delete any sort of head movement. Your head's just bolted in there. So when your character does actions, their head is just stuck, and it's so delightful. It's my favorite detail in any armor set in the game.
Mom says time for a haircut.
Time for a haircut. Oh no! I mean,
Nothing.
it's getting there.
You kind of look like you're in a blanket fort.
That's what this is. Yeah, this is a blank fort.
Someone says we need better lighting. But it does look like you're in a blanket fort.
Yeah, we can't do much more about that. I mean, we could light the fire.
I mean, that might... Hold on. You do your thing.
I'm still trying to end this stream.
You want to light a fire or you want to end the stream?
I don't think I want to light a fire. I think I just want to...
Okay. We'll do that next time. Fireside chat.
Yeah, fireside chat. That'd be
I think
fun.
that sounds really nice.
Yeah, that does sound nice. Millennials are Gothic. Lance or Gallant Glass. Lance Connect. Gothic. Good Gothic. Really, like my favorite armors are the like Italian export for German import armors. So they're Italian made, but they're German styled. I love those freaky deaky import armors. They're so cool because they just blend the two. They take my favorite elements of both and just mix them together. What?
You're so cute.
I like them. They're fun. They give me the best of both worlds. What's not to love? Why don't maces and spikes have daggers have spikes on the... maces have spikes on the... Because most of the time the pointy bits would be facing you, I suppose. It's... Remember that like weapons and stuff still have to be wearable most of the time, and when you cover something completely in spikes on all ends, it just becomes a bit of a hazard. At a certain, like with pole arms, sure, like you know you're carrying the pole arm by hand, the spiky bit is on the ground, the other spiky bit is in the air, no harm done. If it's something that you can actually wear on your person, the moment you put a spike on the handle part and the handle part's pointing at you, have fun stabbing your hand accidentally when you go to grab it. Oh geez, how often would adventurers and travels films and fights with bandits or wildlife or other stuff like that? I guess that depends on your setting, I guess. I lost my connection there for a little bit.
Oh.
I thought it would depend on your
Oh yeah, you put
your setting. Depending on how unstable politically the region is the place currently in a period of war? Are there brigands, and not just brigands in the fantasy like they're criminals kind of sense? I mean, are there mercenaries loose in your territory trying to feed themselves or trying to make a quick buck because their pay is coming up short? You know, how many imported mercenaries are currently in your territory with nothing better to do than to sack and pillage because they need to feed themselves and make some money before they go home? That kind of stuff. Okay, am I close? Am I almost there?
Yeah, they're coming in kind of fast, though.
There. Okay, I just skipped to the very end. But I rock the Burgundian drip, though. Sure. Yeah. There, I caught up. I did it. I caught up. bugs keep going from my ear. Leave my ear alone. Anyways, what was supposed to be a 1 hour stream is now up to being a 2 hour stream.
Well, you worked out
So
the energy.
yeah.
You were antsy, and now you're not.
Hmm. What would I most want to probably Bjorn. I would love to get his. I'd love to be able to pick his brain.
And someone had asked what you think about Kobesh.
I'm pretty convinced he would just clobber me, but it would be a very educational clobbering. I think it was like German league champion last year or something like that. Yeah. Oh yeah. He would kick my butt, but it'd be a very educational experience, I think. Okay, I think chat is finally slowing down. I think I can maybe wrap things up.
You look kind of.
I'm tired. I want to go. Favorite non-fighting medieval culture thing? Favorite non-fighting medieval culture
Like, there's your blanket fort.
I'm thinking. Clothing. I like the clothes. Yes. Clothes.
You still have over 100 people.
Why do I still have a? How do I still have 100? All I'm doing is just like.
You're in a blanket fort.
Yeah, I'm just in a blanket fort. I'm just. Now it just looks like I'm ready for nap. This is like one of those.
You are ready for
this is just one of. This just becomes one of those live streams where like the person's like, where it says like "wake me up" or whatever, and it's like if you tip like.
I wonder if you did that.
If you tip like $50 or whatever, it drops like a water bottle on their head or something.
Dang.
It's like a whole. It's like a whole thing. They have like a big water balloon full of water or whatever, and then like when you tip, it like pumps more water into the water balloon, and eventually it pops. Like that's
okay.
That's
so you stream until you make a certain amount of money.
Yeah. You stream until you make a certain amount of money, and then the thing pops and you get soaked, and then that's the.
That's like dunking someone in a dunk tank,
Yeah.
I guess, kind of. Sleep stream.
One more. Okay. Some of the videos everyone should watch. Yeah. I like that one. So I will say the one I'm using in that video is pretty. I mean, it's a Topeka poleaxe. It did get a little bent by the end of all that. The nice thing is that it's just some like mild steel. So I just kind of like, I literally just, how did I fix? I remember I fixed it. I just took a block of. Yeah, I remember now. I set it against to fix the dent. I just set it against a piece of wood. And I took a wood block and I just smacked it until I took the bend out of it. So it's not the best poleaxe, but I mean the video shows what it can do, and I was able to fix it with a piece of wood that I just smacked it with. So it's not that bad. Oh, hey, battery's about to die. Hey, cool. That wraps it up. We're at 6%. Anyways, that's my cue.
That's when you end the stream.
Okay, thanks. Bye. Okay, thanks. Bye. 6%. We're out of here. Have a good night, everybody.